captions.
It was the middle of...
Okay. Welcome back, guys, girls, and femboys and furries. Today, we have a special guest.
Don't say my name. Call me NPC. Hi, guys. My name is NPC.
He's autistic, boy.
Stop calling me autistic.
Well, it's true, isn't it?
If you want anything, go think yourself.
That's not nice. Okay, so
Alright,
we this is not family friendly, so just so you know that.
Nobody cares about that.
Okay. So today we're reacting to Hunted by the Tribes That Eats Humans.
His
Alright.
story.
So
Kind of like a check him out.
yeah, so yeah. I've already wasted a minute yapping. Let's get into this.
the night as I was hacking through a thick area of heavy leaves and brush with my machete.
You use the captions.
Oh.
And also attempting to swat away the rat-sized mosquitoes as my family followed our guide through the Amazon jungle towards our archaeological dig site.
Why would you bring
Sweat
your
soaked
freaking
through my
family
shirt,
through
and my
here?
feet were killing me. I had just gotten over having food poisoning.
Wait, hold up. If your feet are killing you,
Why
just
don't you
tell them
take
to
a
stop.
rest?
It's simple.
Exactly.
It's not that hard.
So I was pretty weak. There were bats
feel
up in
like
the
we're gonna
trees
get
and coiled
sued
up snakes dangling
by
from
his
tree
story.
branches. Our guide Mateo walked up ahead and had been eerily quiet for a while now. Mateo, is everything all right? He barely acknowledged my question and kept walking. My
Guys,
stomach dropped.
Mateo,
Something wasn't right.
Mateo,
A few minutes later, we
Mateo.
reached the archaeological dig site.
Shut the
It was an
fuck.
incredible stone structure I'd only ever seen in pictures. My wife Elena and my daughter Maya stared at it, both mesmerized. I started setting up camp, and Mateo stopped.
Why camp? You know, you could just set up a little tent. Perfectly fine. You guys could sleep together. Make sure you put pillows, though, you know?
No, grab your sleeping bags. Put it inside the stone structure.
Oh, yeah. So, what the hell? I'm gonna make, like, 2 of these videos, and then I'm gonna compilate, or whatever they're called, into one long video if you want to watch it.
Me. No, wait. He pointed at a low branch and showed me a piece of red cloth tied around it.
All
What
right,
does it
who
mean?
died there?
His eyes grew narrow, and he shook his head. We must leave this area, right now. But this is where we're supposed to be. This is why we came. You are supposed to listen to me and do what I
they
say.
don't-
We must leave and never return. You need to at least tell me why. Because they are watching us. Who's watching us? Just do what
Epstein.
I say. Leave now. But we had an agreement and we just hiked 17 miles to get here. I don't care. I will return your money. I
Okay.
thought they were all gone, but they are not. We walk back
Wanna
now.
put that on
Who?
the video?
Who are you talking about?
No, I'm
Something
muted.
terrified him deeply, and I had no idea what it was. Just tell me something so
Was
I
your
understand.
ugly ass.
Is it the Hichi tribe? He was shocked that I heard of them. You know about them. I studied them when I was a young archaeologist. I know that they're religious people with wild beliefs,
know that they're
but I thought they had gone extinct,
like
as did I.
fucking-
But we are both wrong. Okay, we will leave.
I know there are crazy people who like to get a little freaky.
But my wife is in a lot of pain from spraining her
Tribes
ankle,
get
and she needs to
freakier.
rest. We'll go back, but we've been hiking for over 10 hours. Can we at least
No,
just rest here for a bit and then go?
That's
Mateo
not true.
didn't want to agree, but nodded.
do you mean?
1 hour, then we leave. We all laid down and tried to get some rest. I quickly
How
dozed
about
off,
5
then woke
hours,
up at
and then
dawn
we
to an
get
eerie
kidnapped?
silence. A few more hours must have passed by than I thought. I saw my wife and daughter sleeping next to me, but Mateo was gone, vanished. The weirdest part was that his backpack, personal belongings, and his boots were still here.
Oh
Why would he
no,
leave all of
ghost
that
ate
behind?
him.
Terror creeped in. Maya woke up.
Epstein
Dad,
ate his
where's
dick.
Mateo? I'm not sure. I stood up, looked
Epstein
out,
went
and at the
said,
tree line,
"Hi,
evenly
guys."
spaced 15 feet
Hi,
apart,
hey,
were the
guys.
same red
Come with
cloths
me.
tied
You're
to
on the
tree
flyers.
branches. I counted 6 before I realized they continued in a complete
Bruh.
circle around us.
Yeah,
And I
that's
saw
not
the
nice.
first
You
person
pause
watching
when
us.
I
He had a
talk,
painted
bitch.
face.
You know, what if you leave instead of you going up to the people who eat people?
That's actually the greatest idea I've ever heard you say.
Yo, this guy would not die or do all this if he just left. He's actually autistic.
His body was in red clay and white ash.
No, he's
and he was
not.
standing motionless between
What do I
two
feel like
trees on the
his
south
story's gonna
side.
be so
Then a
bad?
second man in what I can only
He's a man.
describe as a devil mask was standing on the east side. Then I saw
That's why you fucking leave.
another man,
No.
then another, then
have a
another,
better idea.
all standing facing me with blank expressions as they
Grab your
eerily
car
stepped out
and
of the
run 'em all
shadows.
over.
There were about 50 of them,
Play bowling
all
balls.
men. They had knives holstered in leather
you have a
belts.
machete,
I had
stab
never
them all
felt
in the
such a
chest.
sinking feeling of horror. Elena and Maya joined me, speechless. Elena was quietly
called
terrified and
self-defense.
took Maya's trembling hand. 8 of them walked towards us, no weapons drawn. One was taller than the others.
Can
His
I
devil
mute
mask
him? I
painted
don't like
black
his
where theirs
voice.
were white. He stopped 6
It's
feet in
annoying.
front of
And
me
I don't
and
like
tapped his
yours.
chest twice.
That's not
My
how-
hands trembled, my stomach turned to knots. He pointed
not
at
that
us,
how
then
it
pointed
works.
at the river and raised one finger. I understood the grammar of one raised finger in any language. It meant that we needed to follow them and didn't have a choice. Fear crept up my spine. The hike was long and silent. 3 hours upriver. Maya tried to whisper something to me, and a guard at her left tapped 2 fingers against his own lips, instructing her to stay quiet. I started watching the guard's hands. These people had an entire vocabulary through hand gestures that I couldn't understand. My wife had a light sprain on her ankle, but seemed to be managing it.
So,
It was probably only
This would
getting
all be
worse.
over if he
We arri-
left.
Yeah, let's just keep in mind, everyone. None of this would happen if he left. This guy's
me-
actually stupid.
Arrived at their village, and I saw that it was embedded into a cliff, which meant it would be impossible for any satellites to see it from above. Only one dirt pathway led to thick mud houses with children watching from doorways with curious eyes. I let out a quiet gasp of fear when we were taken past a row of human skulls that were arranged on a low fence,
Oh,
the
I
way
didn't.
another culture might keep flower pots.
Oh,
Maya
I'm
looked
gonna
down at
put
her
this in
feet,
CapCut,
horrified.
and I'm just gonna-
Elena looked at me,
I'm gonna
hoping
figure
I
out
had
how
an
to
answer
do
or a
what
plan.
Louis say
I
does.
didn't. At the
Like,
center
so
of the
he just
village, they led us to what I can
cuts
only
it
assume
and
was the leader.
doesn't mean-
He was a tall, massive man sitting on a gold throne. He wore a crown made from what looked like bones painted black.
No, he
He held
didn't.
a spear and stared at me like I
Oh,
was truly
I'm
nothing to
unmuted?
him. He pointed at Elena, then at Maya, then gave hand signals to the man that led us up here. They instantly grabbed
Don't
my
mind what
wife
I
and
said,
pulled her
okay?
away.
Okay.
I yelled,
I
"No,
take him for-
get your hands
They're
off of
gonna
my
eat 'em."
wife." I reached out to grab her, but it was too late. He
I
dragged her
take
away as she reached
inspiration
for
from
me,
Louis.
shaking and
He's like
sobbing
my
out of
favorite
fear.
YouTuber.
Maya frantically wrapped her arms around my waist.
Go
and
sub to
closed her
him if
eyes,
you,
terrified.
sub to
I
me.
held her tight. It's gonna be okay. Another man ripped her arms off of me. Don't touch her. She's just a kid. I tried to shove past him, but they were too strong. She kicked and screamed. Don't let them take me, Daddy.
Yeah.
I'll find you, baby. Try to be strong. My heart sank watching Maya being taken away. We locked eyes as she teared up and faded into the distance. Another man
Yeah.
grabbed my arm and
Yo.
shoved me into a 5-foot-long cage.
If
I
Louis
started
say
to quietly
comments on
panic
this,
and felt this
'cause he got
overwhelming
tagged
sense
in
of
it,
claustrophobia being
I
in
would
this
be
tiny
so
cage.
happy.
Mosquitoes kept attacking me,
That
and
would
all I had
probably
was
be
a
the
muddy
moment
ground
I
to
would
sit
go
on.
popular.
The height of the cage was too low for me to stand up straight, so I was forced to crouch down by several inches, which ached my legs even
And
more.
guess what?
But I watched
This
these
would all
people.
have been avoided if you left.
Yeah, bro. At this point, you literally just need to turn into this. All bro had to do was this. Okay, back. We're
Carrying
back.
water and food, some staring at me. The
No,
kids
they're
were
not.
playing with small spears and were vicious with each other. I couldn't stop shaking. What the hell was this place?
So
But then someone else
vicious.
screamed. 2 villagers in devil masks walked Mateo out and placed him down on his knees
are
in
they
front
gonna
of the
do?
leader.
Use
His
their
hands were tied up
forks
behind his
as-
back, and he was quietly
use their
shivering and
spears as
crying.
forks?
He caught
He's
me
gonna
looking
get
at him out of
cracked.
the corner of his eye and yelled, "You have to get out of here. They're gonna kill us. They said they need 4 sacrifices by noon tomorrow." I felt my blood go cold. The massive leader slipped on his mask, grabbed an axe, said a few words to Mateo in their own language, and Mateo begged for his life. I am a good worker. I can make food and clothing. I can. Several villagers raised their arms up to the sky and prayed and chanted. Bukaraka, Bukaraka, Mateo wept. Please spare my life. I am one of you. But I saw the leader stare at him. Then he raised his axe. No, please. And just as he swung it down, I covered my face. I was shivering. I knew I was probably next. If I had just listened to him and left immediately, we'd all be safe right now. It took everything in me
Yo,
not to be sick.
remember,
Then I
this
noticed
would
several
all
villagers
not happen
joyfully grab
if
Mateo's body
he
and carry him
literally
away.
just
Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. These
not
people
bad.
were cannibals.
It's
This
not
was
that
a
hard.
normal routine for them. The skulls on the fence weren't decoration, they were trophies. I realized that I needed to escape as quickly as possible because me and my family were next. My mind was racing and my heart was pounding as I thought through several scenarios of escaping. A few minutes later, a little kid that couldn't have been more than 5 years old kept smiling at me while he was eating something with a wooden fork. His friend pushed him, causing his wooden fork to fly out of his hand and land near my cage. I quickly grabbed it and hid it behind my back. I couldn't
Yo,
see
bro,
where
all you
Elena
have
and
to
Maya
do
were,
is just
which was
jerk your way out of
terrifying.
this.
It was unimaginable to me what might be happening to them. I waited until dark, broke off a small piece of the wooden fork, and used it to pop open the lock on my cage. These people didn't have the most
job.
stringent security. They didn't have to because
'Cause
this
they're
village
stupid.
was so remote. I snuck behind the cage,
Maybe 'cause
then
there's,
quickly
like,
ran into the
15
jungle.
people in this
I just had to
tribe.
get away, but just as I thought I was
Autistic.
safe, I heard footsteps behind me. Then I saw him. Another
No, you
masked
didn't. You
man
didn't
from the
see
tribe
anything.
was
You're
watching
blind.
me, just staring. But he just stayed there. He knew that I wouldn't just leave my wife and daughter behind, so he really wasn't worried about where I went off to. And he was right. He knew I had no choice. I
Wanna
kept
break from
running
the ads?
and finally found our camp from last
Wanna
night.
break from the
I finally
ads?
had food, water, but I knew I was running out of time. I needed to hurry. The thought of what my poor wife and daughter were going through was horrifying.
Oh, guys, I
ripped
finally
open
got
Mateo's
premium, so I don't
backpack,
have to keep
found a
pausing
machete,
it to
climbing
add.
rope, fishing line, 2 road flares, and a bag of digging spikes. I also found a small leather notebook. It was half in Spanish with pencil sketches of hand signs. His notebook was a dictionary. Mateo wrote on a page, "Will the lost child return to his people?" Was he talking about himself? Then I found the word that the villagers were all chanting, Bukaraka. I had spent 20 years studying how ancient people lived. It means blood of the returning betrayer. Mateo used to be one of them.
This is
No wonder
yes,
he was the
this
first
is
one to
no.
take this job. I continued reading and discovered that there
And
must
this
be
is,
4
oh,
sacrifices
yeah.
before the next full moon.
This is, oh,
Number
yeah.
1, the betrayer.
you're
It said he will be slain. That was Mateo. Number 2, it states that she must be given to the water gods, which I can only assume meant they would take my wife to the river. My hands started to shake.
Oh,
Then number
guys.
3, which stated they would sacrifice her
I'm
to
gonna
the
play
god
Among
of
Us
fire.
next.
And number
I'm
4,
on that
the
thing
king.
where I post,
They
like,
were setting up a
70
rope
videos in
and meant
one
to be a
day.
sacrifice to the god
And-
of
and
air.
I forget my
and if my
channel
studies of
exists for
Mateo's
another
journal
month.
were correct,
Actually,
Elena was next.
let's,
I learned every hand gesture I could in 10
maybe,
minutes, then rushed back up towards the village.
stream
Just as I got there, I saw someone.
Nah.
A scrawny messenger carried a long
Nah,
cloth-wrapped
nah,
bundle to a shack near the river.
It's
It was his
weird,
normal job.
'cause,
He probably
no,
did
I'm
it
just gonna
daily.
pause.
I looked and it gave me
Okay,
an
we're
idea.
back.
Luckily, I was a similar shade of brown skin. I came up with a plan. I could go undercover and maybe blend in with the natives. I knew I had to, even if it had very little chance at working. I mixed clay and limestone and made the body paint, then made a mask from some tree bark. I put it all on, and I was in full-on disguise mode. This had to work.
dumb.
Right before dawn, I waited near the pathway that went up to the village. The messenger came up the path towards me with his package. He was heading back up to the village. I hid behind a tree and waited for him to get close. Then I tackled him to the ground, grabbed the back of his head, smacked him into a rock, and knocked him out. I took his bundle,
I've been
headed up
low-key
the
cooking on the
pathway, and
time.
made it to the
We're
outskirts
12
of the
minutes
village.
in and
The
only
first 3 villagers
13
I
minutes and
passed
40
touched their
seconds.
foreheads with 2 fingers, signaling a greeting. I returned the gesture
Bro,
exactly the way I'd
his
seen
story.
it. I was
This is
sweating,
the
but so far,
most
they were
violent
buying
I've
it.
ever
Then I
seen
needed to
you.
find Elena's cage
Not for
and
me.
started searching for it. A guard stepped
Yo,
right in my
you
face.
don't look
I bowed
anything
my head
like
down
them
and started
because
to
you
step
have
past
your
him,
stupid
but
ass
he raised one hand to stop me and pointed at my feet. I looked down and
I hope
slowly
sometimes it
realized
changes
that the
to green
messenger
and
had been
red so
wearing
you can
woven
just do
sandals.
hollow purple
I
and
was
get your
wearing my
ass out of
hiking
here.
boots. He looked up at my face. He couldn't see my eyes through the mask, but he could see my chin. My chin was
Bro,
the wrong color
almost just
underneath the
started
clay.
singing
He
a
yelled out
copyrighted
something
song.
guttural in his native language, making the entire village erupt into chaos. He pointed at me, and I knew I was caught. I panicked, took off running for the tree line, looked
what did I
behind me,
miss?
and saw
I wasn't
7 men
looking for,
chasing
like,
me
20
with spears and
seconds.
hatchets. My heart was racing. They were screaming at me, but just as I ran into the forest, I quickly hid underneath the canopy of a low tree. The men ran past me. I covered myself with mud and only survived because it was still somewhat dark underneath the heavy leaves. I stayed completely still for a few minutes, praying
Bro,
they'd leave.
you're literally
But
like a
then
sword
I heard
god.
a different word being chanted. I looked out over the clearing and saw 20 women
Wait, why did
villagers
they
all
put
carrying
her in a
Elena
dress
above their
before
heads.
they did that?
She was wearing a long white gown and was crying in terror. I knew I was running out of time. I
Are
snuck
they
over towards the river,
pedophile?
desperately trying to come up with some way to save her. I felt the
No,
sweat
YouTube,
dripping.
don't take that
I
down
had to do
'cause I said
something
that.
fast.
No,
I had
it
to
was a
create something
joke.
big and distracting enough for me to somehow get Elena away from them without
Swear.
realizing it. And as I looked down at the bamboo at my
If this
feet,
video
it
gets
hit me.
good,
What would
I
do that better
actually
than
am gonna
fire?
crash out.
I was running out of options. I only had minutes before they would sacrifice her. They were chanting, so I started grabbing up as much bamboo as I could and pulled the flare gun out of my
very many-
backpack. I knew it was now
Why you
or
have a
never,
flare
so I
gun?
took a deep breath, lit it, aimed, and threw
These
it.
guys
It
could
quickly
just
went up in
randomly
flames and
pull
started
out an
spreading towards the edge of the
AK-47
lake.
and be like,
I backed
"Oh, I
up and had
forgot I
to run
packed
before it
that."
burned me. I kept going and heard
I always
them
have one
chanting.
handy.
I looked up ahead, but they were still
Like,
going.
bro.
I could see the fire spreading, but it wasn't enough. The main village woman said a prayer up to the skies, grabbed Elena by the back of the head, and dipped her face down into the
they're
water.
drowning her.
She held her down with all her strength as Elena was desperately trying to break free, her arms flailing, legs kicking back. I started to panic. They didn't see the fire. She was starting to lose consciousness as her body was no longer fighting. I picked up a branch and ran over. It caught fire, burning my hand, but I kept going. I threw it behind them, but the female villagers were so busy chanting and praying
are
up
they
at the
dumb?
sky to notice.
How do you
Then
not
the fire
smell
started
it,
to catch on
you
her dress.
imbeciles?
Suddenly, she screamed. They all saw the fire and instantly started panicking, running away from her. They let go of her, and this
Yo,
was
at
my
this
chance.
point, you should just go
I ran
walk
to
there.
Elena, but she wasn't moving. I pulled her out of
you
the
killed
water.
her
Elena,
again.
please. I knew I had no time, so I instantly slammed my hands down on her chest. Please,
She got
wake up,
drowned, and then
darling.
she got
I
fired,
performed
bro.
CPR on Elena and
That's not
rapidly
the
went
right
back and forth
words.
from chest compressions to mouth to mouth. Back and forth, I worked desperately. Come back to me. Come on. I was terrified to lose
my
her. She was the love of my life.
if that
I
happened to
worked
my
harder,
crush,
faster, and with even more
would
urgency,
do
and
mouth
she
to
still
mouth
wasn't
at me.
responding. It didn't matter. I
I'd
would
just
give
be
her
like, "Don't
CPR
worry,
until I
I'll
passed
save
out if I
you."
had to.
Instead of
2
doing
minutes
mouth
in,
to
I
mouth,
gave
I'm
her a
just gonna
hard
make that.
chest compression, and she jolted up and spit out a gallon of water and sucked in a long, deep breath. She was alive. Thank God, you made it. I'm here. It's okay. Where am I? We need to go. I carried her away from the embankment and hid her underneath
Either
the tree.
is-
We
I don't know if
kissed
that's
and
your
hugged
wife,
and shed
your
a few
daughter,
tears
or
together.
your
I tried
sister
to
or
lift her up
something.
so we could escape,
Whatever it
but
is,
she
they're
grimaced
ugly.
in pain. I can't go. Stop. Wait. Her ankle had swelled up enormously and she couldn't walk. Elena held back tears. Have you seen Maya? I shook my head. We have to go. I can carry you. She stopped
No,
me.
you can't.
I can't
You're
go with you.
weak.
I'll only slow you down. We held each other for a few moments.
broke her foot,
Stay
by the
hidden
way.
right here, darling. After I rescue Maya, I'll come back for you. You have my word. I kissed her one more time, made sure she was hidden underneath some mud and leaves, and left. I made my way back towards the outskirts of the village and had to try and locate where they had taken Maya. I knew I had to hurry. I hid behind a rock and saw the
Okay, we're black and witness.
Fine.
We had to do some.
intruder kill. They
had
all
to
raised
do-
their spears
What? That was
and
the
split up.
wind.
I had to act fast.
Listen,
I snuck
wishy
around,
washy
from behind a
whiz.
mud hut, then snuck over to another. But then I heard footsteps. My heart stopped. I looked around and saw a barrel to
Yo, it'd
hide
be so
behind.
funny if
He
I
was
said,
right there,
"Wishy
so I dove
washy
behind it.
whiz.
He walked right in front of me and stopped. Sweat dripped down my forehead and I held my breath. He got close.
Why'd you hold your
Closer,
breath?
Closer. He was right beside me, on the other side of the wooden barrel. Then, a branch
have a gun or
snapped several
something? You're
feet away
fine.
from inside the forest.
Of
He instantly
course it
looked
did,
and
bro.
ran towards
Of
it.
course.
I waited for the coast to be clear, then stole a mask from a table in front of a mud house and secretly made my way through the village in search of Maya. I was in constant fear of getting caught as I looked everywhere and couldn't find her. I whispered to myself in a panic, "Please God, tell me she's okay." But just as I got to the middle of the village, I
I'm
saw
back
her.
on the
Maya was propped
mic.
up
The
in front of one of the mud huts,
headphones.
and 2 village women were in front of her,
Yes.
and she was wearing what looked like a fur bikini and was covered from head to toe.
She's
with
a
red clay
furry.
paint.
Oh wait,
They were
that's the
making
wrong
her drink
thing.
out of a gold cup, and she shook her
Oh, are they
head,
giving her
not wanting her
liquor?
to. The village woman was mean as hell, which seriously
the
pissed me
mask
off.
from,
No,
the
don't
Mask
make me drink
movie?
it. They poured it into her mouth anyway.
What is
She
that
coughed,
wine?
and I felt my fists clench.
they're gonna make
They
her
were getting
drunk
ready.
so they can
I
kill
needed
her
to
even
save her now
easier.
before they started their sick chanting. I looked
Why did
across
they
the
give
way
her
and saw 3
wine?
villagers light a small fire around a wooden
Bro.
stake. I
Hold
remembered
up.
Mateo's
Why the
book.
hell did
It said I needed to stop this now, but had no idea how. I thought about it. Fire must be done by the leader
Guys.
or the
Remember, none of this would happen if they left. Like, what, 17 minutes ago.
But like 2 days ago.
Yeah, if they left, none of this would happen. I would love to eventually see something that says, I got hunted by the tribe that eats humans! And then they're like, so I saw them and I left. I
And that
would
would
love to see
That
that.
would be absolute
The ritual is
cinema.
cursed.
That
Only
would be
he could
more
do it,
peak than
and I
these
knew
videos.
I had to save her before he did.
This
They
one,
turned
in
around,
fact, 'cause
leaving
we
Maya
barely
there.
even see it
This was
happen.
my chance. I
She's
snuck over,
drunk.
praying they wouldn't see me. She was right there. I
Now they're
whispered,
gonna make her
Maya,
become
but she
a-
didn't look right.
a
Maya,
man-girl
it's me.
furry.
She looked over, and I
She's
saw
drunk.
her eyes. She was barely awake, and I knew something
No,
was
they
in
probably
whatever
gave
she
her
drank.
cheese,
I tried to get
and
over
then
to her.
she
was right
became
there.
the cheese
They
I
gave
reached to
her
cut the
dick.
rope off of her, but then someone
they gave her
screamed.
dick.
A guard pointed at me and yelled out. Everyone came running, and
No,
they all
they
saw
didn't.
me,
You did.
pointing their spears. I tried to
No,
run,
they
but
didn't.
every direction
I
I
ain't
went,
part of
I
this
was
tribe.
completely surrounded. There was nowhere left to
Ow.
run. They all started walking closer,
Ow.
and I knew this was it for
Ow.
me. I failed.
Why are you
Their leader
poking
pushed
me
through the
there?
crowd,
I don't
staring at me
like
with
it.
fury in his eyes.
Shut
They were
up.
starting
I
the
don't
fire
want it.
and ready to take Maya,
edit
but I
that
remembered
out
what
of
it
the
said.
video.
Fire must be done by the leader. Blood must be drawn by the sacrifice first, or the
Now
ritual is
now we're gonna
cursed.
get comments
They had to
of
draw
me
blood
being
from
gay.
me, an outsider first,
That's
or
not
their
how-
sacrifice wouldn't work. I knew I
That's not how copyright
had to
works.
challenge him. It was my only choice. I needed to
Copyright?
prove their
Yeah, but
spiritual
that's not
rituals
what I'm
have
saying.
failed,
Is
and that
NPC
they're the
gonna be
ones that are
NPC?
cursed. They were closing
No,
in,
they don't
but
really
at that
care.
moment, I pointed at the leader.
Guys,
They
please
all
don't.
froze. You!
If you
I
say
challenge
that,
you.
they're
But
gonna
then,
do
I
that.
heard a drum
So
roll.
just shut
I
up.
turned around to see 20 or so villagers carrying Maya above their heads in a procession towards a wooden stake.
ugly.
She was fully made up with body and face paint,
If
and her head
anything,
was drooping
I'd be
down like she had
happy
been
that she's
drugged.
dying.
They were chanting something up towards the sky
wait.
in their own language. They put her on the small plank and tied her hands behind her back to the wooden stake. The fire was
It's
just
cheese
below her
on.
feet and was starting to rise. I had to do something quickly, or else they were about to burn her alive. I stepped in front of the masked leader's throne, made the loudest, most guttural yell I could. I knew this would be the only way I could get him to face me and stand up. The villagers all stopped after I yelled and turned to face me. Their leader stood up, not expecting me to raise my voice at him like I did. I had pure primal rage in my eyes, and I needed to
you
piss him
didn't.
off. So I shoved him, held up my hatchet, and yelled, "Fight me, you ugly bastard! Come on,
Just
fight me!"
stab
The
him, you
villagers hadn't ever seen someone
imbecile.
threaten their leader before. It
But
worked.
think about it,
He
if he
grimaced with
stabs
murderous
him,
rage, grabbed a
they're-
sword and
they're
circled
gonna
me.
get-
He
he's gonna
said
get
something to his
attacked
people, which made
But
all of
you
them
just
surround
fight,
us.
he's gonna
They
get
wanted
attacked.
to see their leader murder me.
Or he
I
coulda
briefly
just
locked
left.
eyes with Maya and tried to signal confidence to her.
He could've
She
literally
was
said,
grimacing in
"Fuck this
agony
shit, I'm
as the
out."
fire below her was quickly rising. I only had a few seconds before the fire would totally engulf
No,
her.
you didn't.
The masked leader tossed off his mask.
He's
pointed at me,
ugly.
and
He's a
laughed.
rock.
He was truly a
No, it's
hulking
not.
man.
That's not
He
fair,
probably
man.
stood at
The
least
Rock
6
isn't
feet,
ugly.
6 inches
He's
tall,
just
and
ugly
weighed at
and
least
built like The
300
Rock.
pounds. When he laughed, his villagers all followed and were cracking up hysterically. I was terrified and hadn't ever felt a murderous rage like that in my life. Come on, you fat ass, take your best shot. I figured if I got him pissed off enough, he might make a mistake.
That's
He
not
cornered
how
me
you
against a
speak.
mud hut, swung his sword down at me, and I tried to block.
You don't speak like fat ass. It's fat ass, you imbecile.
Bro, fat ass.
Big back, fat ass.
It with
Did
my
he say
hatchet.
fat ass?
His sword literally
Ah.
snapped my hatchet in half. Ah! My
Oh,
hands
I
ached
wasn't
from the pain
muted.
of gripping
Shit.
so tight. I had no weapon, and he had freakish power and speed. I swung down at
That
him,
was the
out
wind,
of the
bro.
way, and barely managed to avoid the
This
blow.
channel.
No, listen,
Time to
guys,
restart.
guys. This is just take a minute, listen to the wind. Just like take a minute.
flashed before my eyes as he swung down at my face. For a split second, I thought, is this the end? Then I saw my daughter's face and snapped out of it.
That's
I
not
slipped away
a
from his
brother,
attack,
you
rushed over to
idiot.
his throne and searched for some type of a weapon. Shit. I didn't find anything. I would have to somehow disarm him and steal his
Get his
sword.
vagina
I turned back
right.
around to face him and felt more and more insecure. I was running out of options and started to seriously panic. The villagers started chanting,
Yo, just pull his
Kanabacha,
pants down
Kanabacha,
and use the
Kanabacha.
vi-
I looked
use
over at
the-
Maya and she was screaming and crying,
Yo,
feeling the flames
you
below her even worse now. Then my eyes darted down at the ground and I got an idea. I needed to use what I know, the earth, use it to my advantage.
It's good that we're muted.
He lunged
Or
at
else
me,
we
and I rolled down to the ground, grabbed a handful of dirt, and flung it into his eyes. He was temporarily blinded.
Just
which
take
meant this
the
was
gun
his
and
chance.
shove
My
it
plan
up his ass.
I tried to grab the sword out of his hands, but he swung a punch across my head with
If
his
I
other
were
hand
you,
and nailed me in
I
the
would-
temple. I
I
flew
would-
4
I
feet
would-
through the air, and the
I
side
would
of my
freaking
face
grab
landed
the
hard on a
sickle
rock.
that he's
I saw
holding,
stars,
put it in
then
mine,
saw the leader's
stab
mask
him
on the
in the
ground,
forehead,
and noticed that the bottom of
grab
it
a
that covered
rock,
the chin
throw
was
it at
seriously
him,
sharp.
and then
Under my
grab the
breath,
thing from his
my
forehead and
weapon,
keep
I
stabbing
grabbed
him
it
with it.
and heard the ground
I would just
pounding
pull
as he
his
was
pants
rapidly
down.
moving towards me to finish me off. He swung his sword down again, and he missed by half an
You're
inch as I quickly
idiot!
crawled through his legs,
You
used
are
the bottom of the
idiot!
mask, and
You
shoved it
are
up
idiot!
into his groin.
Oh,
His
Oh, not the
and
dick!
covered his private parts. His blood
Bro,
started
looks like he
dripping
just
into the
peed
dirt.
his
As soon
pants.
as it did,
Oh,
his
he
eyes
got
bulged in
his
panic.
dick
The
chopped
entire village saw
off.
his blood being spilled, but it wasn't
Oh.
for me. I looked around
Time
and
to
went
grab
from
it.
screaming
Time
and
to grab a
laughing
spear
to
and
complete
kill all of
silence,
them.
all within a second. They all realized their sacrifice was ruined, but they all glared at me and looked more vicious than I had ever seen. I wasn't sure if they would all try and kill me or worship me.
yeah, push
Then
it.
the strangest thing happened. One female villager started to yell up at the sky and cry, along with several children. Then many other villagers followed them, weeping up at the sky. It was what I had hoped might happen. They felt cursed for failing at these rituals. The leader sunk down onto his knees in the sand and wept like a baby. Dad,
This shit could have still been avoided
in flames.
if you
Luckily, the
left
village was considered
20 minutes,
so I
23 minutes ago.
tossed
You
a
could
bunch
have
of sand
left
over the fire below her
more
and
like
put it
a
out.
week ago. You could have left,
Untied her
bro.
from
You
the
could have
wooden
just
stake.
left.
You
You
could have
okay?
said,
Are you
"Fuck this
burnt?
shit, I'm
She was
out."
trembling. Her feet and legs were red from the fire.
Really hit that.
I think I'm okay. You can walk? She nodded. So I took her by the hand, and we ran towards the lake.
Bro,
where
she's
Elena
redder
was
than a
hiding.
lobster
We made it
right
over
now.
to her and helped her up. Out of the mud. Put our arms around her and
surprised
helped
she's
her
still
hobble out of
alive.
the village and down the pathway. Elena was still freaked out.
Of course
Are they
it ends with
behind
the
us?
happy ending.
Please don't let them get us again.
This
Dad.
happy
I
ending could've
won't.
been-
I kept turning
could've
back to
been
see if we
here.
were being chased, but we weren't. We're okay now. I ruined their entire structure of survival. They don't care about us anymore. About 2 hours later, we made it down to the base of the mountain to
Aw,
safety,
man,
and I held my family
turned them
close.
mute.
We all wept with what we had all just
Possibly.
experienced. We were so close to meeting our but even though we were all injured, traumatized, and barely still breathing,
What?
we were alive. I love you both.
What'd you say?
Love you too.
No, pause this video.
I did.
Unmute it.
Uh,
Unmute.
Okay.
Okay, what a happy ending, guys. But we could have gotten a happy ending.
If we left, bro.
Yeah, we could have gotten a happy ending 24 minutes ago.
Okay, anyway, I'm actually done with this beautiful story. Let's give them a round of applause.
Hey, his story. Nobody asked if you almost got eaten.
So basically, nobody got eaten, nothing happened, someone's dick got cooked. So yeah, what a happy ending. Let's give them a round of applause.
And guys, see y'all later. And goodbye, gay boys.
Cha-cha-cha.